Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Showdown battle video for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I'm sticking with the RU tier for another video in a row, but this time I decided to try out a Sun team that I came up with. I'm noticing that there were a lot of really good Pokemon that could take advantage of this, and obviously that Torkoal itself is RU, which gets the Drought ability now to set up the Sun. And it just so happens that my opponent also brought like a Galith, which can set up Sand, so basically this is 5th gen because it's Sun versus Sand. But to take advantage of my Sun, I brought Saucebuck because I just made a video on this thing and it gets Chlorophyll, and I also brought Victreebel as well, which also has access to Chlorophyll. I know that I could use Venusaur, but I like Weather Ball as opposed to having to be forced to run Hidden Power Fire, which you have to do with Venusaur. But I just prefer this for right now. I may switch that up later. But Heliolisk also has Solar Power, and then Gligar and Cresselia are there for defensive support. But being a Sun team, I don't pack Surf on this Heliolisk. So on this first turn, I'm actually going to just go for Hyper Voice because I wanted to just deal damage to this thing. I found out with how little damage that did, though, that this is actually an Assault Vest Donphan, but he's able to take me out, and honestly, Heliolisk really wasn't going to be useful in this battle anyway, so the little bit of damage that I got on the Donphan was actually really useful for me. But he's going to switch out Fearing the Grass move. I'm going to go for the Sleep Powder, which unfortunately is going to miss. And as he brings in his Moltres, I know that I have a specially defensive wall here in Cresselia, so I'm going to go ahead and go out into that right now. I'm running max special defense on this thing, actually, with a bit of speed, just because there are quite a lot of special attackers. But knowing that he's not going to stay in based on how little damage that did, and also just knowing that I could resist an attack if I went on into Torkoal right here, I'm just going to do this to set up the Sun. He brings in Donphan again, and based on the fact that he didn't Earthquake before when he had the chance to, I knew I was safe to stay in here because I assumed he was going to knock off again, predicting me to go into Cresselia to take the Earthquake. So I'm able to actually get a good chunk of damage in on him with the Solar Beam. It doesn't KO though because it's Assault Vest, but because now I have Cresselia in and I'm faster, I do pack the Ice Beam, which is going to KO the Donphan, which is going to be a really good thing to happen for this team, as that was quite a bit of a nuisance to start the battle off at least. But he's going to bring in Moltres right now, which has the Fire Blast. Now it's Sun boosted, thinking he could do a lot more damage to me. But it turns out, first of all, that I'm faster. But because I'm running Cresselia on a Sun team, you'll notice that Moonlight becomes even better because Moonlight gets increased recovery while Sun is up on the battlefield. So it kind of has a little cool defensive synergy here, which I really like. But he's going to bring in Araquanid, and I know that he's not going to Liquidation because the Sun is up, and I was also fearing possibly the Leech Life. So I'm free to actually go into Gligar right here. He actually goes for Toxic, but because of immunity, I don't take any effect to that whatsoever, and it gives me a free turn to set up the Stealth Rock, which is going to be really good for me. But because, again, he brought in the Moltres, I'm free to bring in Cresselia yet again to obviously wall its special attacks, and just go for a Psychic as he decides to bring in his Gigalith to set up his Sand. Now, the only thing on this team that's really preventing my Sun team from basically sweeping his is this Gigalith. So I'm just going to stay in here with Cresselia and just try to do as much damage to this thing as I possibly can. Unfortunately, though, Cresselia isn't that strong of a special attacker, and Gigalith, being a rock type, gets its special defense boosted in the Sun. So this isn't going to be doing too much damage. As you can see, it's doing between like 17 and 19%. I get a nice little special defense drop right there, which does kind of help out a little bit as he goes for the Stone Edge. But also knowing that he really can't do too much to me so long as, you know, I am Cresselia and ridiculously defensive, I can just stay in here and I'm just trying to deal damage. He goes for Toxic though, and that's not really going to affect me too much, aside from just cancel out my leftovers this turn. But because I got another special defense drop, I know that he wants to switch out, so I decided to switch out into Gligar, predicting maybe him to go out into something like his Dugtrio, possibly to resist the Psychic or something like that, but I know he wasn't going to stay in. But obviously this is a bad matchup for me. The Sun is no longer up, so the Liquidation is extremely obvious here. So I go for the U-turn knowing I would outspeed and go into Victreebel to resist this, but unfortunately he gets a critical hit, which is going to bring me down to a quite low range of health. And knowing that I have the Sleep Powder, he's going to switch out on this turn, go out into his Gigalith, which is going to get put to sleep. Because obviously this thing is at a low range of health, so he just brought this thing in to just set up the Sand and be sleep fodder, and it's at still a range of health where he's going to be able to switch it in again to possibly cancel out my Sun at another point in the battle. But he actually just goes into Dugtrio right here. I go for Sludge Bomb, but being a Steel type, Alolan Dugtrio is going to be immune to that, which really stinks for me. But I'm just going to go down to Sand anyway this turn. But the best physical wall I have in this team, obviously, is Gligar to take hits from this thing. He goes for an Iron Head. This is Life Orb and Sand Force boosted, and it still only does that much damage. He was probably hoping for a flinch there, but it didn't happen, and I'm able to just KO it with an Earthquake, which is going to be really good for me, because that thing is now done. It's probably the fastest thing on this team, so that's actually a really, really good thing that I was able to take that out. But knowing at this point in the battle that actually I don't really need Gligar too much anymore, I'm just going to go for an Earthquake right here to deal a little bit of damage to this Araquanid, which is basically going to guarantee that I'm now going to kill something with Saucebuck, which is really good because no matter what he switches in, Saucebuck outspeeds everything on his team, and therefore, because this is a choice-banded Saucebuck, that's definitely going to KO. If you brought in a Komo-o, it would have been a 2-hit KO, provided he wasn't like scarfed or something. But he's going to bring us in now, and so I fully expected him to Dragon Dance, and I really wanted to stay in and go for the return. I decided not to. But return wasn't going to KO it. That was my point behind that. So I had to switch out right there. He does get the Dragon Dance, and he's going to go for the Dragon Claw, which is going to KO Cresselia because it is Life Orbed, as you see right here, which is amazing. I am so happy that this is Life Orbed, because had this been a different Komo-o set, I would have basically just lost the battle right there. But he's going to just close combat my Torkoal. I set up the Sun, though, which is the important thing, which because now I have the Sun up on the battlefield, my Saucebuck is going to have its Chlorophyll activated, which now means that I can outspeed this Komo-o and actually KO it with a return. And he has the defense drop from close combat too as well, so this is guaranteed to take this thing out. And basically from here on in, Saucebuck is just going to have a little mini sweep. Gigalith comes in, it would resist the return, but I'm choice banded, so that's actually going to just KO it right there. And he was asleep anyway, so he wouldn't have been able to wake up, even if that didn't kill, but it did. And then Moltres is going to come in right here, and knowing from before that this thing doesn't have a ton of speed because my Cresselia outsped it, I'm just going to be able to KO it with another return, giving me the victory in the battle. So this has been a lot of fun actually trying out this Sun team. I've been wanting to do this for a little while just because I noticed this in RU as well. And I also just wanted to show off Saucebuck because I just made a video on this Pokemon and how great this thing can be now, especially when used in combination with Sun and possibly with a Choice Band. I think that was one of the sets in the video. If you haven't seen that though, go check it out. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.